Okay, so for this chapter, we are going to do an introduction to Windows Server 2019. First, let us just think about what is a computer network. Okay. People think about computer network in sense of what is a network is doing. Okay. Actually, what is the network is doing is actually explaining to us about what is the benefit for us. But if we want to define a network in a scientific way, other than that network is computers connected to each other to perform certain tasks. But if we want to understand the computer network, we need to learn about the computer network components. We need to learn about the network operating system. Okay. Your computer has its own parts. The same thing with network. The network has its own network components. Okay. Not many people know the network parts because they take it for granted that my network is working. Okay, but actually there are some parts that are needed for your network to work. From your laptop, inside your laptop, maybe you have some connection for the Wi-Fi or for the network cable, to the access point, to the server, to the internet. Okay, we call these networking devices. We have also the networking media, the cabling, how you are accessing the network. Okay, and then we have the network operating system, NOS. Okay, which is needed to run your network and to manage your network. One of the concepts we need to learn also about network is we have client and servers in my network or in our network. Okay. Clients, they send requests. Usually they send requests to access a resource, like the end user. I have a computer. I am using a computer in my network. I want to print. So I need to send a request to the server that I want to print. Okay, so I'm the client. The server is the server who's providing the service. Both clients and servers play an active role in the computer network. Here we can see this in the figure. You have here one computer one printer directly connected to the server, and the server will provide this resource to the clients, or will share this resource with the clients. So a client-server architecture, we call it also domain-based network. And we will learn about domains, how we create domain. So it's called a domain-based network, or a client-server network is a computer network in which hosts have a predefined role. Okay. Okay. In such a network, hosts that request resources, they are clients. Hosts that provide resources are servers. Okay, I just gave you an example. You wanted to print, so you request this from the server. The server then will allow you to print, or will grant you the permission to print. In general, client-server network architecture is a network with dedicated servers. We have examples such as LAN, MANs, WANs. Okay, MAN is Metropolitan Area Network. LAN is Local Area Network, and WAN is what? Wide Area Network. Very good. Okay. So now we have some better understanding of network. Also, for a computer to access the network properly, To access the internet, it will need an IP address. You can see here some examples of IP addresses: 192.168.1.20. This is an example. This is an IP version 4 address, by the way. Okay. We already mentioned this. Now the computer will have an IP address. And we have also something called a subnet. A subnet is an address or the address of a network. We call it subnet. So one part of your network, we are dividing your network into sub-networks, so we call it a subnet, which helps to identify the specific network within the overall network. We have two types of IP addressing. We have IP version 4 and IP version 6. IP version 6 is becoming more popular. This is the latest technology, IP version 6. Okay, but many people, they are still using IP version 4. Windows Server. In the old days, Windows Server, it was only like a file server. We were using it just to share files, save the files on it, then you can share with others, okay, to back up these files also. Okay. Now, a server has an operating system that handles network services in very complex environments, such as your company network, corporate network, government networks, schools, colleges. Okay. Now the Windows Server can provide domain controllers, web server, print server, not only file server like the old days. You can do many things on your server. Okay. Nowadays also we have cloud computing. So you have servers running on the cloud. You are saving to the cloud. You are utilizing the resources on the cloud. We are going to do this in the lab when we access our computers on the Azure network, okay, by Microsoft. Azure is the Microsoft cloud. Okay, as I mentioned before, Windows, like your computer has components in it, also your network has components in it. One of the components of your network is client and server. The components of the server, it has hardware and software. Hardware, your computer should have good amount of RAM, should have fast CPU, should have good secondary storage, such as hard disk, SSD, hard disk, things like that. For the software, you should have a operating system, network operating system, NOS. Okay, so you need to know these terminologies. Usually, in your network, your server should be having the highest configuration, the most expensive computer, the highest RAM, biggest size secondary storage device, all right? And should be kept in a secure place also. We have different types, shapes of servers. We have blade servers. Blade servers, they are small. You can see this, by the way, in the room on the corner. We'll show you this in the lab, in one of the labs. I'll show you some of these servers. We call it a blade server. They are small modules known as blades that are installed on the server's chassis to save space and power. These servers usually populate data contents or supercomputer facilities. Then we have tower server. Tower server looks like the computer, but we call it tower. Usually it's bigger. They are a single big case servers that stand upright, standing, vertical. These servers are usually either used for testing purposes or to provide local services in a SOHO environment, small office, home office. We have also rack mountable servers. They are designed to be installed in a frame as a rack, okay, like in the figure. These are usually, you can find them in data centers because they are easy to expand. You can add more rack, you can add more servers to the rack. NOS. NOS is a software that is capable of managing, maintaining, providing resources, controlling resources in your network. It is also capable of sharing files and applications, providing web services, managing access to your resources. Who can access the internet? Who can access the web, the scalar printer? Okay, who can access our network? It's all done by the NOS. Okay, so it's very important and need to be managed by the network administrator, network engineer, okay, IT professional. We have now different types of NOS, like an OS, like Windows Server, Linux Server, Mac OS, okay? They are all NOS because they are capable of providing network services. Windows Server overview. We started with Windows, it was called Windows NT 3.5. This is just a bit of history. Okay, we started with Windows NT 3.5, okay, in the early 90s. Okay, then we had other versions of Windows Server, such as Windows Server 2000. That was a very big thing when we received Windows Server 2000. Okay. Windows Server 2000, it was a GUI, graphical user interface based OS, so it was a big thing at that time. And then we started to receive Windows Server 2008. We had in Windows Server 2008, we had the server core. Server core is non-GUI, but it's more secure. We'll talk about this, inshallah, things. Which is a CLI based OS. Okay, CLI meaning what? Command line. So you enter commands. You have to know the command, not graphical, not user, not graphical. So it's not very user friendly. But you do this. We will talk about the advantages of the core and later on. Then we had the Windows Server 2003, 2008, and they were both 32-bit and 64-bit. Windows Server 2012 is 64-bit. Also, we have the file system. Windows Server 2012, it was using the native file system. We have also the REFS, or resilient file system. This one replaced, or was designed to replace, the NTFS that was used in Windows, the earlier version of Windows Server. Okay. I cannot switch off this. Sorry, just hold on. Okay. So the one that is used on Windows Server is usually NTFS. Then recently they introduced the REFS, which is the Resilient File System. Okay. So NTFS is a native file system. Okay. NTFS is a native file system. The Resilient File System, REFS, is a new technology. It is there to replace the NTFS. Okay. Why? Because it has more features, and we will talk about these features later on in this chapter. I think this, I'm not sure whether you can read these slides or not, but I can read it for you from here. It's not clear for some display things. Here. The good thing about the Windows servers nowadays, especially in big corporations, they are very well advanced. They can support and provide network services for Windows-based hosts, or even hosts who are not using Windows operating system. Maybe they are using Linux or Unix or Mac OS, and you have a Windows Server 2019. You still need to manage to be able to communicate with them. That's why you need to update your file system. That's why it's called resilient. The next slide here. Who developed Windows Server 2019? Who can tell me? Microsoft. Microsoft. Windows NT, Windows Server 2000, Windows Server 2012, Windows Server 2019 is developed by Microsoft. We all know about Microsoft. It's one of the biggest corporations in the world. Okay. And it is part of the Windows NT family of operating system. Okay. Now, in our labs, we will be installing Windows Server 2019 on a virtual machine on Azure Cloud or Azure Network. This is the timeline for the Windows servers. So if you can see here, it all started in the mid-1990s, 1996 to 2000. We have the Windows Server 3.5, then Windows Server 4. In the year 2000 to 2008, in this decade, we had the Windows Server 2000, then Windows Server 2003 came. It was big things at that time. In the data center era, which started 2009 to 2013, we had the Windows Server 2008, 2012. Nowadays, from 2016, for the cloud or masses data or big data, we had the Windows Server 2016, Windows Server 2019. So this is called the timeline. According to our book here, Windows Server 19 is the latest. Okay. It was announced in 2018 and was released to public in October towards the end of 2018. Okay. It is based on Windows 10 code. This is how it was written. This is how it was programmed, coded, using Windows 10 coding. Now, we'll talk about the important features or why we needed the Windows 2019. Windows 2019 is very powerful, especially for big data, for the cloud, and we will talk about this, for security, okay, and storage. These are the Windows 2019 editions. Please have a look at it. We have Windows 2019 Data Center. This is the most comprehensive edition. It has everything, okay? And it has a highly virtualized data centers. It can support highly virtualized data centers for big corporation. It can even act as a cloud provider. If you have the Windows Server 2019 Data Center. Then we have the 2019 Standard. It is having full feature like data center, but it is designed for medium-sized businesses that have their servers hardware on their premises. I have my server in my company. I can use the Windows Server 2019 Standard. Then we have the Windows Server 2019 Essentials. It is designed for small businesses that owns a single server in their IT infrastructure. Let me here, okay. So we have the Windows Server 2019 Essential for small businesses that have only single server or one server. We have also the Microsoft Hyper-V server. It is a free product that delivers enterprise-class virtualization for data centers and hybrid clouds. It's Microsoft Hyper-V server 2019.
Why would anyone choose standard essentials or when they have
because of the prices, budget,
prices?
yeah, budget, support, maintenance, hardware requirements. Very good question. Support also. What kind of support you get? Now here we talk about some advantages or differences between 2019 and 2016. Some people think that, okay, 2019, oh, okay, it's just an upgrade of Windows 16. Actually, no. It is actually more than that. It has very strong features and differences from the 2016. First of all, its support to hybrid capabilities. Okay. Windows 2019 supports only Windows 2019 supports the cloud, hybrid cloud. Storage migration services. Okay. Both of them, they support storage replication. Windows for security. 2019 has enhanced security options. It supports shielded VMs for Windows Server and Linux. Both OS support Microsoft Defender, Advanced Threat Protection ATP, Device Guard, and Credential Guard. But Windows 2019 only it's the only operating system that supports shielded VMs. So you have to know the difference. Okay. Features related to optimization of performance. Windows 2019 supports Linux containers and Kubernetes platforms, whereas both operating systems supports Windows Server containers, including Docker. This is when you are running applications or operating systems within your Windows server. Okay, these are very advanced features. We try just to talk generally about these features for now, because our main objective of this course is to learn about the networking parts of Windows Server. But still, regardless, you need to know the differences. Okay? Also, we have some features that are related to enhancing our infrastructure management, because 2019 only supports cluster-wide monitoring and deduplication for the REFS system, the new file system. Both of them support storage health monitoring and VMS storage resiliency. Okay, any questions? Now we come about the minimum and recommended system requirements. And there is a difference. Minimum, yani what you need on your hardware for the server, the operating system to work. Even if it's very slow, but what is the minimum requirement? But what is the recommended requirement is of course higher, more expensive. So the minimum is this. Processor is 1.4 gigahertz, 64-bit processor is a must. You need at least half giga RAM, or 2 giga for server with desktop experience installation option. We will talk about this when we do this in the lab. You need at least 32 giga in your hard drive or secondary storage. You need an Ethernet adapter with at least 1 gigabit throughput. You need also graphic device and monitor supporting Super VGA. And nowadays, most monitors, they are even higher. Your computers are even higher resolution for the graphic. Also, you need DVD drive if you are going to install the OS from a DVD, or maybe you will use a USB, or you will have it stored on your network. You will need, of course, a keyboard and a mouse. Now, the recommended is something else. You need at least 2 gigahertz speed. RAM is 32 giga or higher. Imagine the difference. From half giga, actually recommended is 32 giga. Space, you need 256 giga SSD. This is faster. And 1 terabyte hard disk to store your data. Network, you need at least 1 gigabit Ethernet in IC. You need graphic device, of course, graphic card or higher resolution, Super VGA or higher. Of course, you need your DVD, and that one is not changing, and internet access. Again, so we find that there are many new things in Windows Server 2019, and there is a difference between 2019 and 2016. It's not only an upgrade to 2016. It's not just only another upgrade. Okay. It is built on the strong foundation of Windows Server 2016. They have some common features, but 2019 have unique features also, and numerous innovations. One of the new features is System Insight. Okay, it can help you to analyze your Windows Server data by providing you an insight into the functionality of the server and helping the administrator to make sure that your server is in a healthy condition. We call this System Insights. Okay, it even uses AI, artificial intelligence, and uses predictive analytics to predict that oh, we're going to, if it keeps like this, we're going to have this, you know. We call this predictive analysis based on AI, artificial intelligence. It analyzes past usage trends and predicts future resource consumption. All data is collected, processed, and analyzed directly on the local server. Although you can optionally forward events to Azure Log Analytics, giving you a unified view of your environment. That's a very strong feature, actually. You don't need now to buy a third-party software. You can use this feature from Windows Server 2019 and supported by Microsoft. If you are a network administrator, you can appreciate more this feature, like you. Also, it supports hybrid cloud. It enables the improvement of connections between the servers on the premises and the cloud service on Azure. It provided improvements for better support for Azure backup, file synchronizing, disaster recovery. Okay. Even it allows your applications that are running on the local server to take advantage or make benefit from the cloud service. Even though it is installed locally on my server or my network, I can still use the cloud. This is all facilitated by the Windows Server 2009. We have the storage migration service. This is, by the way, a brand new feature in Windows 2019. Okay. It is facilitating the process of migration servers to a newer version of server using a GUI interface. So it's making it easier for us to migrate, okay, to a new server. Let me just here take you to this slide. Yeah, this one. Okay. So it uses GUI and Windows PowerShell to inventory data on servers and transfer the data and configuration to new servers. So you don't have to configure them again when you migrate to another server. Okay. Also, it might optionally, you can also choose an option to move the identities of the old servers to the new servers. Okay. So if you have an application running on the old server, you migrate to another server, you don't have to reconfigure everything on your application. The identities are also migrated to the new server. A storage migration service can be used as a Windows Admin Center extension. Storage replica was there. It was there in Windows 2016, by the way. And it has some issues. Windows 2019 has solved these issues and enhanced that feature. Okay. It can replicate volumes between servers or clusters, both synchronously and asynchronously. Okay. For disaster recovery, it has many, and when you do this, why you do this? For disaster recovery, in case you lost your data, something happened to your server or data center. Okay. Also, storage replica allows users even to participate by creating a stretching failover cluster for high availability with nodes spread over 2 different sites, which maintain the synchronization among storage. And this feature, by the way, you can access it from the Windows Server app. So you see how storage replica is an enhancement, big enhancement to the storage replica which was in Windows Server 2016. Also, Windows Server 2019 provided enhancement to our security. Okay? By supporting Microsoft Defender ATP. What is Defender ATP or MS Defender ATP? It's a centralized security platform that is based on proactive approach for detecting malware, viruses and malware. Okay? It also deals with post-breach detection, automated investigations and response, all through Microsoft Defender ATP. Okay, this started in Windows Server in Windows 10, by the way. Then now it is available in the server itself. Okay, so if you are using Windows on your laptop, you already have this feature. Now it is available in the server. Okay. This one here Kubernetes, it was originally used by Google, and there is an institute called the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. They were managing the Kubernetes. What is Kubernetes? Have you heard about Kubernetes? Kubernetes is an open source platform. It enables the automated deployment, scaling, and operations of application containers in a virtualized environment. You have everything in the cloud. You want to manage the deployment, scaling, operations of your application that is running on the cloud virtually. You need the Kubernetes. Okay. One of the examples in the early days, we had the Docker containerization project. It enables applications to be executed in an environment known as an isolated container. Why? Why I need isolated container? So that it does not affect other applications. It was called Docker. The problem with Docker is it was not capable to manage large and distributed containerized applications. That's why we needed the Kubernetes. Okay. Kubernetes include nodes and pods. Nodes and pods. We are just talking high-level information. We are not going to go deep in this course in these things. Okay, but you need to know the terminologies. You need to know the idea.
What are the nodes and the pods?
Okay. These are the components of the Kubernetes. The components. You have node, you have pod. Node is smaller. Okay. This is, if
what does it used for?
For running the applications in the virtualized environment. Like you have host, client, server. So this is the terminology in Kubernetes.
The Kubernetes nodes, pods.
Yes. Okay. Node can be your computer. It can be a computer. You can touch it. You can feel it. Physical.
Pods are the server.
Pods is a pod is the instant. The instant of machine. When you are using Hyper-V, you save an instant. So if something happened, you can go back to that instant of your hard disk. That's called a pod. All right? You see here, where the former can be physical machines or VM, that's what node. Pod is a single instant of an application. So Kubernetes has become a key part of the container technology, often being used in combination with Docker. Also, Microsoft always recommends that every client-server application shall run on a dedicated server. This means that this will cost you a lot of money if you need to run every application, okay, on a dedicated server. That is if you have a traditional deployment approach. So you need to invest a lot of money to buy single physical server for each application. In the virtualized deployment approach, if you have virtual machines, each machine requires its own virtual machine. Okay? So by contrast, the container deployment approach implies that the operating system on the host is shared among the applications. In that way, a container enables the application to run in its own isolated environment. You see how we are making savings. We don't need to buy all this hardware, all these servers. Because Microsoft, their recommendation, okay, you want to run application, you run it on its own hardware. Okay? So Kubernetes, along with Docker, is used to enhance these features. That's what I need you to know. Okay? Docker, when it was there, it was a game changer. Everyone was happy about it for virtualization. Kubernetes is an enhancement. Okay? Docker technology has enabled easy to build, deploy and run application images. Docker consists of Docker engine, which powers Docker containers. We said that Kubernetes includes what? Nodes and pods. Docker has only Docker engine. Okay. Docker was actually created for. Remember we said it was created for. Yes. To isolate the running of your application. It was written basically for Linux actually. Okay. Now it is supported by Microsoft Windows and Mac because it's very helpful. This is the summary for this chapter. Please go over the summary and I am here to answer your questions.